Good morning. Yet another beautiful day. Could be a little bit better in the weather, but we are now heading into the hot season here in Thailand, so it's going to be a bit smoggy. People are burning all the crops or the leftover of the crops or preparing for the sugarcane harvest, which is a lot of burning. So it's not really the most perfect time of the year, but it is still a good morning. And every morning has its own rituals. And I thought today I wanted to show you what my ritual is, because in battling prostate cancer, for me at least, it's important to have a routine in everything I do, because there's so many small details that I believe that down the road might be interesting and might be important. This is both in terms of what kind of initiative do I take, what kind of supplements do I do, how often do I take them, at what time of the day do I take them. I think it all plays an important role, because our bodies work differently in the morning than they do in the afternoon or do in the nighttime. It's not that I know the difference in terms of which is best and which is not, but I know that if I document it and if I do it consistently, I at least have some measure of control. And so my mornings always start getting up about 6 o'clock, just around sunrise, because in Thailand we have only about an hour's fluctuation in terms of daylight time in the mornings, depending on the time of the year. And this, we are heading towards the lighter time of the year, just like we're doing in Northern Europe. But our sunrise is about 6 o'clock in the morning now. So the first thing that I always prepare is a little bit of hot water, so I can get my green tea. That is mandatory. I am a huge coffee drinker, absolutely. I've spent, and I still do actually, at least a couple of hours every single day, unless I am somehow prevented from doing so in a literal manner. I mean, not just because I'm a little bit too busy or something. I'll always find something in my schedule so I can go to a coffee shop and get my hot latte. But in the morning I have to adjust it, because green tea has got some properties that I might feel good about. So green tea it is. By the way, I am excusing the noise that you might hear. That's my freeze dryer working with the first batch of hemp buds, because I'm going to freeze dry it in order to get better quality of my upcoming RSO and CBD oil. So that's a different project. I might share that with you as well. But anyway, we got to get the tea rolling. There we are, the hot water. So, yeah, that's one thing. Now, it's not just tea, and I'll show you that in a minute. We got something else going for us here. We got a bottle of water. I'm very bad at hydrating. So, to get my first bottle of water in the morning ensures that I at least get that much. But it is also not just a bottle of water. I have my own electrolyte mixture that I use, and it's not a very scientific thing. I have my own proportions, relations to how much is in there, but it is fine Himalayan salt, regular Himalayan salt, and it is potassium, and it is magnesium, and it is something called taurine. If you're interested in the ratio of how I do that, then let me know and I will share that. Then I basically just take 2 measuring spoons and dump in my water, like this. Not very scientific. The reason why I'm doing this is because I'm also on a carnivore diet, or as I should say, it's probably more like a keto diet, being a predominantly animal products. I do get, hang on a second, I got a dog here. It was one of the puppies. I'll let it be. Being on a carnivore diet or predominantly animal products, I have to be more cautious about my potassium or my electrolytes. And just to make sure I get everything I need there. And I don't really think I do have a problem, but we are heading towards the hot season. And the hot season means temperatures around 40 degrees Celsius in daytime. And you do sweat a lot when it's like that. And I have to keep my exercise up, so I'm running between 5 and 8 kilometers every second day. That also costs something. Then I'll take 6 or 7 drops of monk fruit extract. It is a sweetener that has no carbs in it, and it doesn't spike my insulin levels, but it just gives a little bit more taste to the otherwise a little too salty water. So that's a small pack that I always bring with me, and also when I go running I always have it in my pack because it's so easy, it's handy, and if ever I need something I can just add it to my drinking water. To add to that, I add 1 heap of measuring spoon of pomegranate powder. It's been proven to work very well with cancer. Just like there. I have heard that powder in any form and shape, no matter how healthy it is, has a negative impact on the insulin level because there's so much more surface area on the product that it will spike the insulin in order to handle it in your body. So people are saying use real products instead of powder products, and I will be doing that as well. So just because I found these here and they're really delicious. That is a pomegranate extract juice kind of thing with no added sugar or anything like that. I get one of these every morning as well. Alright, the tea here is getting about ready. We'll swing in between the things here. So here. In the tea, I also add a heaped measuring spoon of Artemisia Annua. Artemisia Annua, I don't know what it's called in whatever language it is, but I know in Danish it is called malurt. And that's a funny thing because we always have a saying in Denmark that it is not to do so. If somebody says that they don't want to throw malurt in your cup, it is a matter of saying that they don't want to make whatever you're drinking that tastes good to you, make it taste bitter or not so good. And there's some truth to it. It is not the best tasting thing. It's not something that revolting or anything. It looks like cocoa powder. But if it has some good properties, we'll take it. So I'll give that a little stir. And my morning tea is about to be ready. But we're not done yet. We're not quite done yet. I need something else. I need a little lemon here, and I'm very fortunate because we get them from somebody in the village, freshly picked from the trees. And that I'll just cut up like this, slice out the center, and throw that little bit away. Having an outdoor kitchen, we don't need to think too much. Then I'll basically just get rid of the seeds in here. In a second. quite a lot of seeds in these lemons, and I hate them in my drink. See, that was all the seeds I had for one drink here. Anyway, then I squeeze that in my water. Like this. And that's my morning water. So give it a good shake, because the pomegranate powder seems to fall to the bottom all the time. So that is my own mixture of electrolyte with the taurine. And taurine, I don't know if I mentioned that, but that is because of its properties of having my body recovering easier and faster after exercise, and exercise is very important when we're talking health. And then obviously potassium, magnesium, and Himalayan salt. Then I got my lemon in there as well. Then I got, to support that, as I mentioned, this little baby, and I got my green tea. Let's get that aside, with my Artemisia Annua, and then I chop it all off with a glass of tomato juice, and that's because of the lycopene content. Adding to that, I do also, hang on a second, adding to that, I also take 12 milligram of this. I don't know if you can read that. It's a very difficult name. It's an extract of algae, which is more potent than vitamin C. And I've heard somebody saying that if you've got cancer, you got to eat a lot of vitamin C as if your life depended on it. So you could kind of say it does. So I get 12 milligrams. There are 6 milligrams in each tablet. And I get 2 of those in the morning, and I get 2 in the afternoon. So that's one thing. Adding to that, this is before I started drinking green tea, and I also have it as a kind of a backup. But in this one here, I have something I made myself. Some small tablets, and they are with 400 milligrams of amygdalin. And it's a very controversial subject, and I don't know much about it, except that the medical industry does not like it, but there's a ton of anecdotes out there saying that it works. There's not much research to support why it works and how it works. There are some studies on rats that shows that it works with cancer, but it has been a very difficult thing to figure out how to do the doses. I found one case where a 73-year-old lady had been told, I think she had pancreatic cancer, and her holistic healer had told her to take 1,500 milligrams. That was 3 tablets, because you get 500 milligrams in each. And then she got hospitalized with a cyanide in poisoning, because amygdalin, when it goes into your intestines and get in contact with the enzymes and bacteria and whatnot there, it converts into cyanide. And 1 gram, 1,000 milligram, contains the equivalent of 59 milligrams of cyanide. But my headache has been to figure out what is then the lethal doses, because the study they did with the rats was that 200 milligrams per kilogram of body weight had a very bad impact on the rats, while 100 milligrams per kilogram of body weight was very good, and it showed positive impact in terms of the cancer. And then they had a 50 milligrams where it seems to be no effect whatsoever. So the art here is, like with most of everything else I'm doing, It is to figure out what is the right dosage. Too much is not good and too much has got no effect. You've got to find that sweet spot. I did not know what it was. So based on that story, I started out with 400 milligrams because it just filled my capsules as much as I could. And there were 400 milligrams in it. I weighed it off and took one capsule in the morning and I had no reaction, and the next day I took in the morning and then I took another capsule in the afternoon and I still had no reaction. I did run into some diarrhea in that time, and I read that diarrhea could be a consequence of the cyanide poisoning, but that was all I had, and it could have been because of so many other things. So I'm taking that's 800 milligrams a day. That's half of what that lady at 73 took. But there's a lot of confounding factors in that story as well, because I don't know how fit she was, and she was indeed 73, not 53, and I don't know her fitness levels. I don't know how she otherwise was trying to cope with a pancreatic cancer. So it's impossible to say what's right and wrong. And I might up the doses, but I've got so much other things going on right now that I'd rather want to wait with that and see how the other things I'm doing is working. Because as my PSA seems to indicate, I've managed to stall the increase. Now I'm looking at decreasing it, but I want to do it in a controlled manner. So, amygdalin powder, which is, by the way, prohibited in the US, and which, by the way, is a powder that comes from the apricot seeds. Among other things, you can find them in almonds as well. But too much is deadly. Cyanide is deadly. So it was a bit of a tricky thing to get started on. Lastly, my morning routine has been until today 50 milligrams. Well, actually that's not true. I started out with CBD like 3 months ago, just totally out of the blue. Found somebody who made it, ordered me a lot of it because I thought it doesn't hurt you, it's good, and it works well for so many other things, so I might just as well get my hands on it. Later on I realized that it was CBD, and while CBD certainly has a positive impact on your cancer treatment by the fact that it has, as I've mentioned in other videos, impact on your stress levels, it reduces anxiety, and it gives you a better sleep. All things that improves your immune system more and enhances your immune system, which again in turn means that it has a better fighting chance on the cancer. Then it actually turns out, as I found out about a couple of weeks ago, that the THC is really the one that works. Now I knew that THC played a role because if you know about RSO, Rick Simpson oil, then Rick Simpson found out that he cured skin cancer by using that. So it has become kind of the go-to thing in the holistic world or in the alternative world to use RSO as a way of treatment, but it's a very, very harsh treatment. And while it does have some side effects, it doesn't have lasting side effects, and the side effects is more like you get maybe hallucinatic or you get stoned a lot, because there's very big doses he's talking about. But knowing that, then I started to look into how to get my hands on THC. Now that's a different story. And so I decided to make my own, and that's why right now I've got my freeze dryer working on it on a strain that's called Squirrel Tail, which is 18% THC and the same amount CBD, and it's going to be a full spectrum because there are more than 140 cannabinoids in these buds, and nobody really knows much about them, and we only know a few ones, or in general public we know a few ones like THC, CBD, CBG, CBA, and so on and so forth. And in the most common ones are the CBG and THC, but there are 140 plus, as I say. And just recently I learned that some Danish researchers have found that one of those cannabinoids, I cannot remember which one of them was, one of the unknown ones, so to speak, actually had a positive impact on birthmark cancer, which is very difficult to treat, as I understand. So there has been no animal trials, there's been no human trials on it so far. It's just research in a lab that shows that it has some positive impact. So we'll have to see what happens there. But I bet you it's going to take quite a while, because research costs money and you want return of investment, and there are only a few people who's got a general interest in that, and that should be governments, it should be public institutions that pays for it when their patients or their citizens that comes in for treatment. but they have to lean on the expertise, and the expertise is in the pharmaceutical industry. In the pharmaceutical industry, they do not want to make research, obviously, that does not give a return of investment. And there's no return of investment in something that can cure cancer that you can make in your own little kitchen, obviously. So we've probably got to wait a while before we get some solid data on that. That's why we can test it out ourselves. Anyway, back to the doses here. I did take, well, the dose actually with the CBD is not so important because it doesn't play that much of a role. It is a matter of temperament for yourself and a matter of the strength of it. But when I make my own, I have done 50, a half, what is that? Half a pipette, is that half a milliliter a day, 3 times a day. Twice with a THC combination and once in the afternoon before sleep with the CBD to get a better sleep. So that I've done for about a week now. And today I upped the doses to 0.75 milliliters of this little wonder thing in the morning, and then in the noon, and then in the afternoon I'll take the CBD as usual. How it's going to be in the future, I don't really know. I'm definitely going to switch into something a bit stronger during this month of testing my next PSA, but I'll get back to that. But that's anyway what I've done so far that has brought me to a reduction with 30% of my PSA from the 9th of October when it was at 120, and now at the 19th of February it was at 84. So that is a reduction of exactly 30%, which is brilliant. Anyway, it was not supposed to be a long video. I was just wanted to show you what I do in my morning rituals. And as you can see, there's quite a few things here. Something has to be mixed, and it has to remember it all. Something just has to be taken. But because I take this my morning tea, my pomegranate juice, take my tomato juice, and I take my water to my usual little spot where I normally record from and just enjoy the view. Then I'll finish this off before I leave my table, or maybe I will still have some water left, but I'll take that to my computer so I sit and work. Then I know I've already covered a lot of the central bases. The CBD is the first thing that happens when I get up in the morning, and so goes with the astaxanthin. I think that's the word, astaxanthin. And the same goes with this one here. Now, before I didn't do the amygdalin. Yeah, it is amygdalin, not green tea. Before I didn't do the amygdalin with the astaxanthin because it seems it makes the amygdalin more potent if I just take it with vitamin C, and I was a little bit afraid of the potency already. But there is no problem whatsoever. So this is how I do it. And so far I'm very optimistic, I'm very positive. I still firmly believe that a strong immune system must be the first priority in order to battle whatever problem you have. It cannot be the truth that we have to compromise our health in order to battle one disease, because all we've got to go do is just provide ourselves with risk of other diseases down the road, and we do not have the tools to fight it on our own if we've compromised ourselves doing it. So it does take a little bit of faith, and it does take a little bit of consistency. You have to be semi-OCD, I suppose. But so far it works. I am prepared that I might end up having to take the jab, because if I can bring it all the way down to 0, I don't know really. So I have ordered Casodex, because my doctor says that they don't want to give Casodex unless the cancer is spread to the spine and it's too close to nerves or so, because when you get Lupron, then you have a spike in the testosterone level for a couple of weeks, and after that it plummets to very low levels. But I do not want those 2 weeks, so my doctor don't want to give me Casodex, and I suppose he will, because I'm going to pay for it. But there's no reason for me to pay top dollar for Casodex if I can get it cheap. And I can. I think I bought in India, I haven't got it yet, so I'm still waiting for the post office to bring it. But I bought 6 months worth of treatment of Casodex for $60. That's pretty cheap, considering what it really costs if you buy it from the hospitals. Anyway, this was just supposed to be anyway a small update. Until next time, as always, stay healthy.